Oh, that way. Keith tweets, at least the huge recession to come caused by Fishy and Bodger will cause some excellent music to be written, as in the 1980s. Yeah, probably not. There wasn't any excellent music written in the 1980s. That's just a fact.
Correct.
All of the excellent music was written in the 1970s.
Affirmative.
Everybody knows that. Not one single good piece of music was recorded in the 1980s. It's a truthful thing that I am telling you. Write it down and don't forget it. The 1980s were rubbish in every way, shape and form, but particularly for music. And fashion, by the way. But mind you, the 1970s was pretty bad fashion as well, and absolutely appalling for haircuts. Dreadful. Fortunately, these days, we look gorgeous. At least you do, and I really mean that. Here is a call in Battersea. Reese.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I am furious. Labour, Conservatives, both crooks, both caught drinking. Why aren't Lib Dems getting more votes?
Well, they got a significantly better result than they did last time round.
Yeah, but everyone was talking about Labour getting 500 extra seats, but really it should be... Sorry, before I finish, Nick Ferrari's not actually a Ferrari, right?
No, he's a Maserati. He's been mislabelled. 0345 6060 973. The Conservatives are downplaying Labour's win, saying that the party has gone backwards outside of London. They're into reverse. Amazing, really. I mean, people of the North, what is it going to take? How much evidence do you need? They don't care about you. A Tory source told Politico, outside London, this is now looking like a bad night for Labour across the rest of the country. I think that's called news management. Try to distract from your obvious failings by talking about the failings of others. He said they've gone backwards in places like Sunderland, Tyneside, Hartlepool, Nuneaton, Sandwell and Amber Valley, showing they are seriously underperforming in former Labour heartlands, which they need to regain. Well, that bit's true. Why have they gone backwards in those places? It can't possibly still be Brexit. Are you blaming the Labour Party for Brexit not giving you what you thought you were going to get? How's it going for you so far, Brexit?
Oh, fabulous.
That's what I thought, really badly. So, whose fault is that? Oh, it'll be, don't tell me, Ramona's. Yeah, Ramona's fault that Brexit isn't delivering everything that was promised. It's because Ramonas don't believe hard enough. They're not pulling their weight. It's probably Jeremy Corbyn's blooming fault. No! Thanks a lot, Jezza. You see what you've done? Voters have shunned both Labour and the Tories in some places, and that means the Lib Dems and the Greenies are emerging as the biggest winners from the local elections. About blooming time. I mean, for so long, the Greenies have been the sort of 4% party, and now they're almost, say it softly, getting into double digits. Just in time for the world to end. Irony. The Lib Dems have added more than 50 councillors to their tally and seized control of Kingston upon Hull from Labour, which is apparently all about the cycle lanes, which is a local issue, which is, you know, what you're supposed to do in local elections, vote for local issues. Well done, Hull. He said they made inroads against the Conservatives in West Oxfordshire and Stockport, and for their part, the Greenies have racked up an extra 20-plus seats. An expert called Professor Curtis said that the Lib Dems were the surprise of the night. Well, the surprise is that most people had forgotten they existed, I imagine. He said, in terms of the share of the vote, the progress is relatively modest, but they might just be hoping that they are finally demonstrating some recovery from the 2015 general election. It's not your fault, Nick. It's all your fault. Labour blamed their loss of control of Hull after more than a decade in power on a collapse of the Tory vote, which moved to the Lib Dems. It's everything is somebody else's fault. Labour's outgoing council leader Darrell Hale said that his party lost its slender majority in the city due to a total collapse of the last vestiges of Conservative support in key wards of the city. Which is like a really convoluted way of thinking about that. Labour lost because the Conservatives lost. Right. The Lib Dems saw a net gain in 3 seats in Hull, leaving them with 29 of the 57-seat council, compared with 27 for Labour and 1 independent. The Tories lost their last remaining seat on the council to Labour. So that's not that bad, 29 to 27. They'll be able to work in perfect harmony together for the benefit of the people, the little people, not leprechauns. Sue says, will the new Labour-run Westminster Council have any jurisdiction over those Houses of Parliament bars? She asked hopefully, says Sue. What, do you mean, will they be able to get in? No. Will they be able to shut them down? No. Will they be able to change the level of subsidy that we poor dopes who pay taxes give them? No. Is it bizarre that you're allowed a bar at work? Yes, it actually is. Why are they allowed to drink at work? I mean, how much more evidence do you need that it's not a good idea? 0345 6060 973. I mean, alcohol might actually explain a lot. Is alcohol the problem, Bodge?
I can't comment on that.
I'll assume that means yes, at least in part. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @lbc. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Alice Bell.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Sadly, this is all I have. Can you believe that? Diana texts, I have a toothache where a tooth used to be. How is this possible? Oh, don't talk to me about teeth, Diana. Toothache is a menace, and you have a phantom ache. It's a phantom menace. Eugene tweets, please provide a warning next time before playing your new Zaphod clip. I just squirted tea out my nostrils. Oh, a little bit too much information there, Eugene. Squirted it out of his nostrils. Jerry emails, I suppose that Keir, if found to be guilty, could say to Boris at PMQ, OK, I'll resign if you do. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he could say that. Boris would say, I resign. Keir would say, I resign. And Bodger would reveal that his fingers were crossed behind his back all along. That would be a good way of putting it, yeah. Come on, Keir Starmer. I mean, I don't know. How long are they going to go on with a chat with all this? I mean, how long has he been in power now? About 60, 70 years? Running the Labour Party? It seems that long. How long are you going to continue with somebody who does not appear to be cutting through? Stop saying that he's playing the long game and blah, blah, blah. There is no long game in politics. You've got to do it right now. If you can't do it now, then you're never going to do it. It just doesn't come through the telly at you. Jones says, plus there's the sir thing. I mean, it just grates on me. It rubs my fur up the wrong way. The sir thing. I'm sure it's not helping. People think that he's posher. I mean, how stupid would you have to be, approximately, on a scale of 1 to 10, to think that he is posher than Bodger Johnson, for crying out loud. Mr. Bullingdon Club. Burning £50 notes in front of homeless people for a laugh. You know, those people. The born to rule, old Etonians. It's the school, isn't it? I mean, they're all a bloomin' same, aren't they? It's the school, isn't it?
I think this is nonsense.
Yeah, you too, Dave. We're still not missing you, by the way. But we know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed where they keep the tools. It's either what the school does to those people, or those people were like that when they went in. A little bit of both, perhaps. Jones says, I'm assuming Richard Holden has been insisting that Durham police investigate Mr. Cummings for his trips to Durham and Barnard Castle. The same Mr. Holden who supported the retention of Mr. Cummings even after his Rose Garden speech, he wasn't out rallying the police and newspapers for investigation at that time. What are you talking about? Is that a text from like 2 years ago? Merseyside. Hello, Chris.
Hi. Slightly off topic here a bit.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's not that bad. It's just that hopefully somebody can answer the question for me. So BP, right, apparently they're making so much money, they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
But they're only making that much money because gas and electricity prices have risen so high.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't they lower the price of what they're selling oil at to hopefully reduce the prices of gas and electricity? Does it work like that?
Lower the prices so that they would make less profit.
Yeah, and then that way, surely the prices of gas and electricity would go down. Fine.
Yeah, but so would their profits.
Well, if they're making so much money they don't know what to do with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know they said they're going to reinvest, but...
Oh, sure.
We've been hearing about reinvesting in nuclear energy for years and years now.
Mm-hmm.
Now
we're going to get the South Koreans to build it for us, I think. We tried the Chinese, and they were like, and then we tried the French, and they were like, meh. And now I think we're trying to get the South Korean. And if the South Koreans pass, then maybe the North Koreans can do us a favour.
The other thing as well is, of course, with wind farms, we could only probably satisfy 27% of the country with green energy anyway. We'd have to buy.
Well, says who?
It's a fact. Like the amount of electricity.
Well, why didn't you say that?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of electricity we would need to power the whole country, we couldn't do it with wind farms.
Says who?
I mean, when you see green electricity advertised on... I used to work for Scottish Power, you see, so I know this. Because I asked them once, I said, we've got 100% green electricity. We can't supply the whole country with 100% green electricity. And they said, oh, no, it's about 27%, but we buy it from Norway or somewhere.
Yeah, it's 27% now, but if we increase the amount of wind farms we got, it would go up. In what capacity did you used to work for, who did you say it was?
Scottish Power.
Yeah. In what capacity did you work for Scottish Power?
I was customer service, so you deal with...
customer service. Oh,
Harris.
right.
Yeah,
What's your complaint, madam? That kind of thing.
No, to be fair, right, I mean, it's a hard job only because the way they advertise gas and electricity, right? Like, say, for instance, all you see now is that the average bill is going to go up to £300 a year. And they say, right, we're going to, your direct debit's going to be X amount of pounds. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who think that you can have much gas and electricity as you want for that figure.
Who thinks that?
Well, you'll be surprised, right? I'll tell you what.
I am surprised.
The amount of people, they'd ring up and they say, why are you putting my direct debits up? We say, well, you're only paying £40 a month. And they say, well, yeah, I'm on a fixed rate. We say, yeah, the actual cost of gas and electricity is fixed, but not your direct debit. The amount of people that thought they could have as much gas and electricity as they wanted for £40 a month or £60 a month. So,
well, as somebody who does customer service, I'm not sure that I like your attitude.
No, it's not an attitude. We have to educate and explain to them. Look, I'll put it this way, right? If you go shopping, you know roughly what you're going to spend, don't you?
Yeah, about couple of £100 in any supermarket of my choice.
Okay, but what I'm saying is when you get to the till, you only know exactly what you owe them when they add it all up. Well, that's the same with gas and electricity. Nobody knows what they're going to use in the future. So you only ever pay for what you've used the previous 3 months.
Yeah, I know that.
But not everybody does, you see.
Well, I find that hard to believe. I also find it hard to believe that you are presenting yourself as an expert on energy when all you did was answer people's complaints on the phone. What do you know about it?
No, we didn't. No, yeah, okay, you get it wrong. We don't just answer people's complaints. People would ring up because, one, they want to change their tariffs. They want to make sure they're on the best tariffs. Right.
So I restate my case. What do you know about it? You know about as much about energy as I do. You know wind power.
I know a lot about wind. If you just increase the number of windmills, then the amount of energy that they produce will increase, of course.
No, it doesn't quite work like that either.
Of course it does.
Okay, what you'd have to do, because as you know yourself, right, there's still going to be, even with wind power, you've got to have them spread out so far, and you've got to have the wind as well. Now, when there's no wind, this is why Iberdrola bought Scottish Power, because of the North Sea. They could put all their wind farms there. But you could have as many wind farms as you want around the coast, but it doesn't mean they're going to generate enough electricity, because the wind eventually will get less and less powerful as it goes past more windmills.
Right, we just spread them out.
Well, yeah, but I mean, how many do you think you need to go around the coast? To
6.
Make them efficient? How many?
6.
6.
Is that close?
No, nowhere near it.
Oh, right, okay. Okay, well, as soon as you meet an expert, Chris, get them to call me straight away. It doesn't have to just be wind. It can be wave power. We've got no end of waves. There's nothing that anybody can do about waves. They will always be there. Unless Vladimir Putin blows up the moon, there will always be waves. That's just a fact. Let's get on with it. The thing we need to do is to maximise battery technology. We need to be able to store this stuff, because the windmill will go round and round and round and round and round and kill billions of birds in the process. But it will produce an enormous amount of energy. And if we could just store that energy efficiently, plus the sun, solar panels, they're rubbish and ugly. I thought that Elon Musk was going to do something about that. One of these inventions that he just keeps coming up with all the time. He said, I'm going to fix solar panels for you. And they're going to look like roof tiles. Because you know how hideous it is when somebody puts a solar panel on their roof. They are awful.
Dreadful.
They just look terrible. So he's solved that problem by making them look like roof tiles. So you tile your entire roof with these things that are solar panels but don't look like solar panels, by which method you can squirt electricity up your house. Marvellous. But he said it, and then where are they, Elon Musk? His mind is all over the place. Now he's saving speech. He's saving free speech, is Elon Musk. Appreciate it, Elon.
Thank you.
Rob texts, all these people who moan about repeated unknown traffic jams in towns, walk or cycle, you lazy sluggards, says Rob. Which is offensive, but true. Yeah, on and on and on. People are moaning about, they've narrowed the lane and now it's like cyclists. Yeah, okay, well, that's good. Get on your bike, as Norman Tebbit once said, but not about that particular issue. I mean, get out of your car and on your bike and walk and cycle and get on one of those e-scooters or those like magic skateboards or inline skate. I tell you what, I'm going to send Steve Allen some inline skates. I want him skating to work. Leave your Bentley at home, Steve. Save the planet. 0345 6060 973. Text. Hands up who wants to see Steve Allen come into work on inline skates. Keep them up while I count. Everybody! It's decided. 0345. I'm going to send him a pair of skates in his favourite colour. What's his favourite colour?
Pink.
Pink. Offensive? 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. I knew you were going to say that. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Hang about, Nick. Listen. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
Patricia texts, do you think that Corbyn lost because he's a vegetarian and a non-drinker? Just wanted a thought, says Patricia. A non-drinker?
Booze.
He's a vegetarian and a non-drinker. What, like weirdo, you mean? Is that what you mean, Patricia? Very, very rude. Don't be rude.
Be polite.
Nick texts, why are the right-wing press attacking Kia over a piece of pizza? Don't they realise there's a war on and no one cares about parties? Battersea, hello, Brian. O'Brien?
Oh. Hello?
Not O'Brien. Brian. O'Brien?
Brian.
Brian.
Okay, Nick.
Yes, Brian.
Yeah, I got a bill from my gas supplier.
You got a bill from your
British
gas
Gas.
supplier? Yeah.
British Gas to pay £15.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brian, if you can get a bill from your telephone operator, then ask them for
I'll move somewhere else. I'm in the
better
kitchen.
phone or a better line or hang
Can
out
you
the
hear me
window
now,
or
Nick?
something. Yes, go ahead.
Pay £16.55.
Okay, I can only hear every other word, Brian. As soon as they get a phone mast over in Battersea, call us back straight away. Can you believe it? I am so sick of mobile blooming phones. They are rubbish. They are rubbish. He lives in Battersea. Couldn't hear a word. Millions of people live in Battersea. I think you'll find that's right.
Affirmative.
And we can't hear a single word from any of them. Rich people live in Battersea, for crying out loud. People who have important things to impart to other important people. Fortunes are being lost because nobody can understand a word they're saying. I am stunned. Margaret texts, only 2 days for the Jubilee. It should be 1 day for every year. That's right. I couldn't agree more there, Margaret. So what's going to be happening on the Jubilee then? Presumably it'll be on telly. And all the press will be concentrating on is whether Hazza and Sparkles have shown up yet. They'll be elbowing their way onto the veranda. Even though we can't see them, they're still ruining it for Her Majesty. Thanks a lot, Meghan. Boo! They are obsessed. I mean, they really are. The press. Because they had all their coverage, prepared for the next 20 years, probably. Oh, isn't she wonderful? Oh, she's so lovely. Is, what's her name? Sparkles. Or, oh, isn't she looking tired? She used to look a lot better. Oh, she can't squeeze into that dress anymore. Oh, is she wearing those shoes again? On and on and on. But they didn't stick around to live their life by that script. They decided to act like human beings and leave to make a life of their own, which was the worst thing that the British press have ever seen. Traitors. And so that's going to be the coverage of Her Majesty's Jubilee, is going to be them, whatever they do or don't do. Oh, see, they didn't get on the balcony. Ha ha. They must be furious about that. And there they are, taking the spotlight away from Her Majesty by us being able to photograph them in private through their windows. Shameless. Hereford, hello, Alex.
Evening, Nick.
Alex.
So yeah, those Tesla roof tiles you were mentioning, I actually had personal experience trying to deal with Tesla on that bombshell of a project. And they're just an absolute nightmare. You just literally cannot get any traction with them at all.
What do you mean, traction?
Well, actually get any response from Tesla as to when they're actually going to bring it in. They were charging £700 per property as a deposit towards the securing your place in the list, on the list of being able to be the first people to get them on the properties. But then the actual communication was minimal. I even went into a Tesla store and tried to get somebody to tell me, when's that actually going to happen. And they still, and that was about 4 years ago. It was pre-COVID anyway.
I didn't realise that it was a product that they were actually selling. I just thought it was an idea of his that he just blurted out.
No, it's in America. They've already done it, but I think they're focusing more on their car production now. And in the UK, it's just dropped off. They're not even offering you to secure the place anymore. They say you can get updates, but that's as far as it goes.
Well, there should be somebody else doing it. I mean, how difficult is it? Just make a solar panel look like a tile.
Well, they would look great. I mean, we saw an example of them because the properties that we wanted to do are in a conservation area, so we weren't allowed to put solar panels on the roofs.
Right.
But these tiles would have been approved by the council.
Yeah. They just look like tiles. What a fantastic idea.
Yeah, 100%. But somebody needs to take it on from them. Now Elon's got his fingers in Twitter. Maybe he could pass the tile idea on to somebody who actually got the the momentum to take it forward.
Well, it seems like the easiest thing in the world for somebody else to just design a solar panel that looks like a tile, or even small solar panels. The problem is that they're these giant squares that sit on top of someone's roof. If they could just make the solar panels smaller to look like a tile, I mean, even that would look quite nice if you just replace the tiles on the roof with small solar panels. I mean, they'd glint in the sun and it'd look quite nice. It's just the sort of secondary installation on top of the tiles that looks ugly.
Yeah, definitely. Not that I'm any expert in energy, of course.
Well, that's unfortunate there, Alex. If only you told me that at the beginning, then I would have given you more time, being a non-expert. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, doesn't that sound like a massive way forwards? If you just replaced everybody's roof tile with something that looks like a roof tile, but that is actually a solar panel, nobody would have to buy electricity anymore. And the other thing that he said he was going to do is build a battery about the size of a suitcase that can sit on the side of your house and store all of that energy that comes from the sun, so that you could use it when the sun's not out. At night, for instance. Problem solved, saving the planet. But instead, he's waste all of his time on Twitter, which is, by the way, one of the great wastes of time that's ever been invented, Twitter. It's addictive, and there's no end of it. That's the problem with the internet. There is no end of it. I've expressed this thought many times. That's the reason that the internet is such a waste of time, and leaves you on edge and stressed. Is because there is no end, ever. There is never an end to the internet. It goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. Whereas if you're reading a newspaper, for instance, you know where the end is because you're holding it. The end is the back with the crossword and the weather. But when you're on the internet, there is no end. So you're on constant... that's the reason why it stresses you out, is because there is no conclusion to it. There is no happy conclusion. Where a book is, you know where the end is. Same with the newspaper. You can't continue to read the newspaper once you've read the newspaper. You put it down, and that's the end of it. And then you go do something else. But there is no putting the internet down. It goes on forever. And it absolutely will not stop, ever.
Affirmative.
Gavin texts, only one person who can save Labour, Andy Burnham. Angela Rayner, maybe. D tweets, can't believe you just said port is like cough syrup. Only cough syrup is like cough syrup. Well, that is true. Apart from port, which is also like cough syrup. You forgot about that. He says, cancel your current holiday plans and switch to Porto in Portugal. Trust me, the port houses on the Vila Nova de Gaia will blow your mind.
Yowza.
Really? Yeah, I hear good things about Portugal. I went there once, like a long, long time ago. They were still building it. But I believe that it's excellent in every way, shape and form. And they've also dropped the rules and regulations that we imposed upon ourselves when we exited the evil European socialist superstate. Now they've done us a favour, and themselves as well, of course. They're not doing it altruistically necessarily, but it looks that way to us because we don't have to go through, jump through all these hoops. We don't have to juggle through the airport and all of that nonsense. All of which are self-inflicted wounds. How's Brexit working out for us so far, by the way?
Oh, fabulous.
That's what I thought. Paul texts. Now, hang on a minute. Let me see how many texts and emails and that I've got to get through. Devlin says, if you punch yourself in the face and it really hurts, does that make you weak or strong? That's a good question, Devlin. Josh says, did you see Bodger's answer to the question, should Elsie be travelling on buses to keep warm? Answer, I would like to remind you that it was me that introduced the free 24-hour bus travel for pensioners. Classic Bodge, says Josh. Yeah, and it also happens to be an untruth. Liar! Yeah, he didn't. Well, that was a priceless interview. It might be my second favourite interview of all time, next to James O'Brien unpicking Nigel Farage into his constituent molecules.
I'm a nutcase.
If you've never heard that interview, then you absolutely should get it. Is that interview still available on Global Player? On YouTube. James O'Brien versus Nigel Farage. He unpicked him as though he was using a microscope. It was delicious. and Farage, with each turn in the interview, Farage was getting more and more exasperated because he could normally blast through with just like blah, that act of his, and he just got louder and louder and angrier. At which point, James O'Brien was getting quieter and quieter and calmer, which just infuriated Nigel even more. Just great. That is my favourite political interview of all time. The second favourite might be Susanna Reid versus Bodger Johnson. He lied within about 10 seconds of the interview starting. Are you an honest person, she said. And he said yes. Priceless. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. I do have detailed files about the windfall tax. Apparently, Bodger Johnson has been thinking about it. He asked some important people whether there should be a windfall tax on energy companies. Did you hear about that? Oh, you won't believe it. So I'll come back and talk about that and much else besides. 0345 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Okie dokie.
Yes, hello. I've been waiting for you. Hello.
I've been waiting for you. £184 million. What are the numbers again? Do you have to actually buy a ticket to win? Because that seems unfair. Why? £184 million. You'd be richer than Adele, and I don't care who you are, I'd rather hear you sing than her. 0345 6060 973. On and on and on she goes. Every song's the blooming same. Starts quiet, and then for no apparent reason whatsoever, she starts bellowing about halfway through. Hey, Adele.
Stop whining.
0345 6060 973. Bodmin, Malcolm.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Nick, 2 or 3 points. I think that the red wall is not going to change. I think the Tories are going to have a grip on that for the next 2 to 3 years because Brexit isn't really shifting. And the poor old Brexiteers, they are clinging on for Brexit to happen and for their lives to change. But it isn't going to, Nick. And I think Labour are going to struggle in the north right the way through to the next election.
Perhaps forever, for that very reason, that they are continuing, as you say quite rightly, they're continuing to wait for all of these benefits of Brexit, and they're not happening. And so to admit that they're not happening would be to lose face and hope.
Yep. On the positive side, Nick, and people haven't really taken, well, the councils have been won over, but people, I don't think, are realising the impact of it yet. Westminster, Barnet, and the other one, those are the three, well, certainly one big stick that the Tories have whipped Labour for years with at question time, and at every possible opportunity in Parliament. It's the Tories run the cheapest councils, we keep your bills down, and they're gone. The three big flagships have gone, Nick, absolutely. Yes, so when you think of poor old Boris, he's not going to have a lot in the future to whip the Labour Party with. And then, Nick, it still hasn't started yet, but you've got the COVID inquiry leading up to the next election.
Oh,
and that is going to be absolute dynamite.
The COVID inquiry, not the Sue Gray inquiry.
No. Well, that'll be big when it comes.
I'm not convinced that there is actually a person called Sue Gray.
There is, and her report will come, and it'll be a good one.
Yeah,
but
it'll be redacted so much it'll just be a big black square on a piece of paper.
Join the Labour Party, Nick, to get to vote for Keir Starmer or someone of his ilk. It happened. He's there. I'm just praying to God that the police do not deem it a party. I mean, he sounds confident. But then again, Nick, it brings us all back to the question of it isn't about parties. It's about a gathering with more than X number of people.
Actually, it's not. It's about did you stand there at a lectern and tell us lot that we couldn't go out, that we couldn't see our relatives die in hospital, that we couldn't go to the funerals? You stood there and you told us all of that, Boris Johnson, and then you turned on your heels and walked straight into a party.
But they're just going to throw back at us and at the Labour Party. Yes, but you did the same thing.
No, they did not do the same thing. They did. Keir Starmer did not stand at a lectern and say, "These are the rules that I have written. You must do what I am telling you." He did not do that. He did not make the rules.
But if you take the authorship of the rules out of it, Nick, then it's
how can you?
One party. Well, in the minds of the public and the right-wing media who are going to hammer this.
Yeah.
That's what people are looking at. It's, were you at a party or were you not?
Right.
And then
okay. All right. Okay.
Question.
Okay. Right. Were you at a party? So let's say yes. Let's say they both say yeah. Were you at a party? Boris Johnson and Keir Starmer both say yes. And then the next question is, were you at a second party? Or a third, or a fourth, fifth? Were you at 12 parties? And Keir Starmer would say no to each and every one of the subsequent questions, and Boris Johnson would have to say yes.
Right. Now you're hitting the nail on the head, Nick. But that brings me back to my original point. What was? Forget the word party, partygate, beergate, whatever it is. It's the police are simply looking at, was it a gathering of X number of people which broke the rules which were in place? Because we had two very different sets of circumstances. Boris Johnson's was under one set of rules. Keir Starmer's was under a different set. But it's all about event, Nick, and the number of people allowed. And if Labour exceeded that, then in all fairness, he's banged to rights, Nick.
Yeah.
He should be done for that event, just as Johnson does. Then you got the question, do they resign because they've broken the law?
Well, there is an established rule that if you lie at the dispatch box, you have to resign.
Yeah, but that's a separate issue, Nick, isn't it?
Well, okay, but it's the resigning issue. It's the resigning issue about what we're talking about, so it isn't separate at all.
Well, no, Nick, I'm with you. Boris Johnson should be long gone by now. But it's the spineless Tories who won't do anything about him, because that is the only way of being rid of him.
What I can't understand is why the left seem to be so keen to get Boris Johnson out, because his presence reminds people of what the regime has done to them over these past 2 years. If he leaves and he is replaced with somebody else, the Conservatives will say, well, we're not that party anymore. We're a completely new party. We're new and improved, and we smell fresher, and we're thinner and better looking. And they will present themselves as a totally new entity, whereas they aren't at all. It's just the same party with the new wallpaper.
But then they're going to have a leader then, Nick. If Boris Johnson goes, they're going to have a leader who is problem-free and is on a par with Keir. I mean, which is exactly
why I'm saying that it's bizarre that the left seems so keen to get Bodger out. I would keep him in so he sticks around like a bad smell.
He could still pull a rabbit out of the bag, Nick, I think.
Yeah.
A year or two up the road.
No doubt. I wouldn't be surprised if he could pull a rabbit out of one of the pockets of his suit. Thanks a lot, Malcolm. 0345, or some other rodent. Who knows what's in there? 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Brendan emails, the Queen said only working royals will be on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. Does this mean she'll be on her own? A listener with material.
Oh, no.
That was something I was going to say a little bit later when I got into the whole royal thing. I might get into that tomorrow. Running out of time now. Bill texts, I'm going to reskill in gaslighting. I understand there are 650 posts available paying 90 grand a year based in Westminster. Weirdly, Paul texts, does only working royals on the balcony means no royals on the balcony? Or only professional wavers and skilled cord tuggers allowed? That's Brendan and Paul with the same material. Like they're twinned at the hip. Doreen says, I went to vote last night at around 7 p.m. When the register attendant found my name and address on the list, I could see I was only the third person on my street to vote out of a possible 40 individuals. And that was just page 1 from a huge register. Perhaps they should offer a free Happy Meal. Perhaps they should offer a free Happy Meal toy with every vote to encourage attendance. People who moan and then skip the opportunity to change things are crazy, as in... Yes, they are, Doreen. And we appreciate your attendance. I bet the turnout was miserably low. And I restate my case. This is how extreme parties get in. I'm not saying that that's what happened yesterday, that it was a win for extreme parties. But this is how it happens. Is that people who are, in the middle-ish, where most of us are, they can't be bothered. And so if an extreme party with very, very motivated adherents, if they're on the list, then 100% of their fans will go out because they're highly motivated. By which method the extreme parties win. Don't do nothing, because that's how evil gets a hold. Shuvik text, the local election results show that the more informed voters have realised how idiotic Brexit is. I think that's a dig at you, people in the north. Liz says, Barmouth in North Wales is an amazing place. Have you been, Nick? No, Liz, I've never heard of it. Barmouth? Nonsense. There's no such place. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Nick Abbott.
Oh, hello.
0345 6060 973. Sue texts, do you know when and where Kia's next beer and curry festival will be? Why, no, I don't, Sue. I'll let you know straight away when I find out.
Booze.
Gail says, have you been to Wisley Gardens? Yes. It is an absolute marvel. It really is. Have you been to Wisley Gardens? Well, you absolutely should. Dale says, also Bushy Park near Hampton Court, where the deer hang out. He says, the rutting season can be a little scary in November and December. Rutting? In public? Where children can see?
Disgusting.
Johnny says, which form of PR do you favour? Vanilla? Let's have... look, Windsor. How about that? Christine?
Hello, Nick.
Windsor.
You've had me in stitches this evening, but I just want to say a very important thing that the right-wing press, who are stirring because Johnson's in deep doo-doo about the parties.
Yeah.
They're trying to muddy the waters and paint Keir in the same boat as them. Mm-hmm. But they seem to forget that he lied Boris Johnson lied in Parliament.
At the dispatch box.
At the dispatch box, yes. And that is what, if they want to forget about the Partygate, but he lied, and that is why Keir said he should resign.
Yeah, well, that's the
And
rules.
the mere fact is that from that very incident, it went on to this Keir Starmer working on the road, They lived in hotels at that time that weren't serving food. They just lived in these digs or hotels or whatever they lived in, and they went to the workplace, the office. And what do they expect them to eat? Grouse? Instead of food, water.
Well, I'm not sure that the hotel didn't serve.
Yes, they didn't serve food because
I'm not sure they. Is that an established
Yes, they lived
fact?
in hotels that didn't serve food.
Right.
That is why, and that's why, and people are just missing that point. And I heard, what's his name, Ian Duncan Smith saying, "Oh, they should stop digging at one and get
Move
on with it."
on.
Actually, want to cover up what happened. People, Partygate's flim flam. It's not. How can people who've lost their loved ones? It's stamped on your heart. You can never forget people that you never were able to say goodbye to them, good friends, and even go to their funerals. So they're wicked, this Tory party.
It's not.
And they're trying to cover up their lies.
Yeah, it's not the same as for Keir Starmer. It didn't matter. I mean, they could have had a stripper pole in there, and they could have just invited anybody that was passing in the street. It wouldn't make no never mind. Boris Johnson stood at a podium and told us we couldn't go out for any reason. And then he turned on his heels and said, "Excuse me, but there's a magnum of champagne with my name on it."
Yes, and sending out people with their trolleys to go and fill up booze.
Yeah, when they ran out booze, they went and got some more.
Exactly.
All night long with their turn that racket down. I'm trying to get some sleep.
Yes, and another thing, their excuses. They're hiding behind COVID for the actual terrible crisis we're having with prices of food, electricity, gas, petrol.
Yep.
You know, this is all happened because of the money they spent lavishly on the chummery of their friends, where they can't account for Dido Harding's 37 or 38 billion test and trace. They cannot find where it went or what happened to it.
Yeah. We just
that sort of thing. That's the
around
sort
here
of thing
somewhere.
that Keir Starmer has been holding them to accountability. Yeah.
It's always useful when we talk about billions to remind people what a billion actually is, because it just seems like a massive number, and your brain turns off, and you just don't pay any attention to it anymore because it's just maths. Boring. Here's the difference between a million and a billion. I'll do it again. It's the seconds thing, and now I can't remember exactly what it is, but more or less 1 million seconds is about 11 days.
Yeah.
1 billion seconds is about 37 years. That's the difference. It's huge.
It's amazing. They never have a money tree when they have to give it to the people of this country for social
the cupboard is bare. We'd love to help.
They can find the money to buy the Northern Irish votes. You know, Theresa May.
Yeah.
She suddenly found the billion, didn't she?
She didn't just find a money tree, she found a whole orchard of them.
Exactly. And, you know, and they've seen that it's so disrespectful to the people that the right-wing press and the cabinet at the moment lying through their teeth, and they're saying, yes, we did wrong, yes, we did have part. Own up and don't be such cowards and try and pull people into your dirty lies and
shenanigans.
Shenanigans, exactly, shenanigans, you know, and treating us like fools.
Well, some people are fools, Christine. You can fool all of the fools all of the time. Remember that. All right, thanks a lot. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Phil texts, you forgot to mention Anglesey. Bootiful, says Phil. Oh, I didn't forget. Gordon says we have a big laburnum tree across the road from us. It comes into bloom for one spectacular week every May. They are amazing laburnum trees. They're like wisteria, but yellow. I think you'll find that that's a fact. They hang down and, you've never seen anything like it in your life. What I find annoying about this time of year is that things come and go. You get the most incredible display and they're here and gone.
And unless you're there at that moment, you miss it. They should do something about that. Like, they should fix that in some way, don't you think? You know, with science. Get a scientist on the phone right now. I mean it. Chris says, still enjoying my electric fly swat. Have you noticed that despite all the chatter, things rarely change in society for the better? It's just a relentless diatribe of the usual nonsense. Must do the Laverna March, she says. Yeah, it'll make you feel better, Chris. The electric fly swat. Have you got one of them? The death bat? Oh, it's just the most fantastic thing. You know clothes moths? You can't kill a clothes moth without one of these things. You just can't. You see one in the air fluttering about and you think, I'll just smack my hands together either side of it and correct it. And at the moment of you doing that, it just disappears. It's like it's got some sort of a radar cloaking device. You can't see it anymore. Where's it gone? Or it lands on a wall and it just ceases to be viewable. You just can't kill them. Unless you have the electric fly swat, which looks like a tennis racket, but the strings on the tennis racket are electrical. They're electrocution strings. And if you don't believe me, stick out your tongue and, touch one with it. Do that. And you can thank me later. I've got two in case of emergencies because they don't hang about. If you see them, you've got to get them straight away. Otherwise, there goes your jumpers. David says the Tories keep banging on about levelling up even though we've lost millions of pounds of EU funding that they're not going to replace. Yes, that's right, people of Cornwall. Are you happy with your choice? Yeah. They said, don't worry about that. All that EU funding that was going into places of desperate poverty, like the North and like Cornwall, for instance. The EU was spending hundreds of millions of pounds on making the lives of people in the poorest parts of the country better because after 12 years of Conservative government, they still hadn't got round to levelling up yet. They were in the totally ignoring you phase, which is why the EU had to step in. And then, the Conservative government said, vote for in the EU referendum to leave, and we will guarantee that we will keep up the amount of money that the EU is funding you with. Liar! And it turns out that you couldn't bank on that guarantee. What a surprise, no? No. No surprise. Still, I've heard that they knew what they were voting for. I've had that yelled at me about 1,000 times. Seems a strange thing to vote for, increased poverty, but I suppose they know what they're doing. Let's have a call in Kingston. Omar.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing? You all right?
Yes, good, thanks.
Hello.
So, these solar tiles that Elon Musk, I think they're actually available.
Are they?
In California. Yeah, I watched a YouTube presentation. Someone was talking about he had them for family, has had them for a year.
Yeah.
And I bet you, I think he's going on YouTube from a number of different people who have commented on. I think there's more than one company making them as well.
Well, they should get on with it. I mean, really, according to Elon Musk, it was going to be about the same as ordinary tiles, price-wise.
They are. I'm not sure about the price, but it looks just like a normal house.
Yeah.
I've seen a number of things on YouTube. I think.
I mean, every town, every house in the land should be covered with those things, and then we wouldn't have to buy electricity ever, as long as you could actually keep the electricity that it creates during the day in a battery, because that's what comes with it, right? The battery sits on the outside of your house, stores all the electricity that you produce during the day, so you can use it at night or when it's cold, or when it's like in the winter.
I think a tester battery actually sits inside in the wall of your house. It's additional cost.
Even better.
You have to go into YouTube, but it's the solar-powered cars. Have you seen solar-powered cars?
Solar-powered cars?
There's a company in California called Abbot. Go onto YouTube.
I've seen a solar panel car, but it just looked like something that, science whizzes, like student. It looked like a student project because it was just all solar panels, this big flat thing with... it looked like a car with wings, is what it looked like. Not useful in the real world at all. It's like a project. It's a science project.
There's a Californian company called Aptera who've actually manufactured a solar-powered car. It's like a 3-wheeled car, and they've been on... You have to go... It's a popular, like, American TV personality. I've got his name. But I think not Jay Leno.
Jay Leno. Is it Jay Leno?
It might be, yeah. It's like a half-hour... It's going to YouTube.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now. It looks like a plane without wings.
It's all 3-wheeled thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, somebody should get onto it because it seems like the sun is our future until it explodes in the sky, at which point our world would go with it. Then we can pretty much rely on the sun. Every single living thing on Earth is here because of the sun. Without it, there would be no life. Apart from those tiny little creatures. What are they called? Those tiny little things that can survive anything. They can survive inside a nuclear power plant, in the North Pole, and in space. They can live in space. Those things. What are they called? Keith Richards. They're called Keith Richards. Yeah. The only thing that could survive a nuclear holocaust is Keith Richards and these tiny things that I'm talking about. The name of which I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Sean says, "What do you think? Oh, is that it? Is that you done, Omar? I do believe it is. He came and he went, and it was perfect in every way, shape, and form.
Bye-bye.
See you later. Solar power. Let's do it. But you have to figure out some way of not making it look so bloomin' hideous, because it just ruins any building that it's put on. Assuming that you can see the roof from the street. If you can't, no problem." Look at the time. Blimey. We're 2.5 hours in, and what have we talked about so far? This show is a disgrace. 0345 6060 973, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC, it's 12:30, the news headlines with Alice Bell.
Everything is going extremely well.
Sorry about that. I was too busy concentrating on something else, unlike a trained professional. No, I was looking at these solar roofs. Apparently it is a thing. You can buy it, or at least they got a website about solar panel roof tiles that just look like roof tiles, but are in fact taking energy from the sun and squirting it up your equipment. They're designed to last. You can use an app. It's got apps, baby. And it transforms your entire life. Oh, you get some of these things and everything will be beautiful. It says it will complement your home's natural aesthetic styling. Well, what if your home looks like rubbish? So... But there doesn't appear to be a way that you can actually buy it. You can just you can learn more or get updates. It doesn't appear that you can actually buy it. So get on with it, Elon Musk, for crying out loud. Stop wasting your time on Twitter. Tardigrades. That's right. Do not look up tardigrades on the internet.
Warning!
You do not want to see what those things look like. It's like something out of the Alien films. Nick says the creature is a cockroach. Well, that's just offensive. Oh my God, there's a picture of one. Isn't that hideous? How's that even real? It looks like it's got a garden hose for a mouth. That's disgusting. Take it off my screen right now, I mean it. Heathrow, hello Stuart.
Hello Nick,
Stuart.
You all right?
Yes, okay, like... A bit bilious, having just seen a picture of a tardigrade.
Is that true about the burning of the £50 notes?
What, the Bullingdon Club, Bodger?
Yeah.
I don't know if he personally did it, but that doesn't prevent it from being a fact.
Because the worst thing I'd heard up till now was, him on the phone to his mate, his uni mate, to nobble a journalist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was, it's like we're being run by the Sopranos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It is, yeah. Well, I keep saying it. It's not a government. It's a smash and grab raid.
Exactly. And they are like a mafia. They are the Eton mafia.
Yeah.
That's it, mate.
That's it. Well, it sounds like you've done it. You had in mind what it was you were going to say, and you said it. Great success all round. The Eton Mafia. Yeah, precisely. Gary texts, you often quote the Daily Mail. Shouldn't that be the Daily Person? Sexist? That's a good point, Gary. Rob says, some Joy Division was recorded in the early 1980s, including Love Will Tear Us Apart. Yeah. Who did the original of Love Will Tear Us Apart? Who did the original of Love Will Tear Us Apart? I'm going to ask Google. Wait a minute. Who did the original of Love Will Tear Us Apart? Thinking. Love Will Tear Us Apart. Oh no, I guess it was them. Love Will Tear Us Apart. You do realise this is on the air, don't you? Get on with it. Forest Hill. Hello, Hugh.
Hello there, Nick.
Hello there.
Yes, I think the answer to the question you were posing a little while ago is the blue-green cells or grasses.
Pardon?
Hello?
What?
Yeah. Blue-green cells are grasses. They're not plants and they're not animals.
Well,
okay.
I am. At least I know I am. Thanks, Hugh, for whatever that was. He was talking about something about grasses.
Want to score some pot?
No, that's okay. Just say no. Just say no, thank you. I mean, good manners don't cost nothing, do they?
Be polite.
Andy says, what on earth has the world come to? How have the Conservatives managed to get any seats in the local elections given the last, however many years of Conservative rule? 12. I know. Unbelievable. It is. I mean, this nation's capacity for punishment knows no bounds. We love it. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Jeff says, regarding the large backlog of messages waiting for you to read out and where on earth everyone got your number from, I saw it in a pub wall toilet in Lancaster. I didn't believe what was written about you, though. It's completely correct in every respect, Jeff. And I'm very proud about it, too. Hastings. Hello, Mark.
Good morning, Nick.
Mark.
How are you doing?
Great, mate.
Just wanted to go back on some of the stuff that you've been talking about all evening with regards to the Tories.
Yes.
And other bits and pieces. I do agree with you when it comes to Bodger Johnson. The best thing to do with him is leave him where he is, because that will be the quickest way to get rid of him.
Well, yes, I mean, it does seem a bit bizarre that the left seem determined to get rid of the person that might actually win them the next election, because it will keep in people's minds everything that the Conservatives have done up to this point. But if they manage to transform themselves and reimagine themselves in the minds of the public, then they will forget everything that's happened, and they will be convinced that it's a new party, new people, new direction. But it won't be.
No, I agree. Totally agree with you. It's a case of he's talking about bringing back
hanging
the right to buy.
Oh.
I'm not being funny. We're in a situation where people are struggling to pay their rents and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to keep doing? Do you want to keep selling off our social housing?
Well, yes, they do. For the very good reason that people who own their homes are more likely to vote Conservative.
Yeah, quite possibly. But then we're going to end up in the other situation. If we all vote Labour, do we end up with the gob that is Rayner or the spineless skeleton that is Starmer?
Right. Well, I don't think either of those things are necessarily true. I don't think that Rayner is the gob. I think she says a lot of things that are worth saying. And I like her style. And as for spineless, he's quiet and unassuming and a bit wooden and boring, which is maybe not what you want in a leader, but then maybe it's the opposite of, maybe opposites will attract the nation. Maybe we'll have had too much of a clown that we want somebody a bit boring for a while. You know, somebody who doesn't go around the country dressing up in other people's uniforms to get photographs taken of him doing someone else's job, for instance.
Yeah, well, this is the point about saying about do we go for the gob that is Rayner, or we go for the spineless that is Starmer, and we go for, okay, right, we've done this, we've been there, we've done that. How are we going to do it from now on?
Well, you lost me at the been there and done that. I was following you for a little while there, but you lost me right at the end. Never mind, Mark. We'll drop pieces of bread behind us so we can make our way back again to where we were. What could possibly go wrong? 0345 6060 973. Robert emails, you spoke last week about cashless payments leading to companies and governments knowing how much you paid, where you bought something, who was with you when you did it, and where you came from and where you went afterwards. But it's worse than that. Worse than that? Oh, no. By means of Fitbits and health apps, they can also, or soon will be able to, tell what your mood was at the time of purchase and before and after. That will then be used to target and hone personalised social media messaging, either to jolt you with joy when they're after your money, or with a spasm of fury when they're after your vote. It isn't 1984. It's Brave New World. Well, now I'm really worried. Thanks a lot, Robert. It is alarming what's happening. And everybody's just accepting it with a shrug of the shoulders because what you're being given is a small convenience. We will give up every right that we hold dear for a small convenience. That's what we've learned since the invention of the internet. Tim emails, as a Labour voter, I am disappointed with the local election results. I expected a much larger Labour gain. I am worried Labour and the Lib Dems will split the vote at the next election with the Tories coming up the slipstream. Yes, exactly. Labour and the Lib Dems and the Greenies and the SNPists will split the vote between them, and there will be only one right-wing party because of the dissolution of the you-know-what.
The arguments that UKIP stands for aren't valid.
And so the Tories will pick up all of the right-wing votes, and the left-wing votes will be split with Labour and the Lib Dems and the Greenies, the groovy Greenies,
Yowza,
and the SNPists and others. By which method the Conservative Party will rule this country forever.
Oh, fabulous.
It's what the people want. Yeah, we need a coalition government. We just do. Other countries with happier people are run by coalitions. Countries that tend to be run by autocrats, that tend to be run as a dictatorship by one person, don't tend to have happier people. Get me a list of the world's happiest countries. I betcha that the vast majority, I'm going to say 9 out of the top 10, are run by coalitions. I bet that's true. James texts, I am eagerly anticipating the release of Sue Gray's full report. Impressions of the document suggest it will be damning of Johnson and will hopefully show these denials and deflections up for what they are. No such comprehensive report is being compiled to investigate Starmer's operation. This is a distinction lost only on the deliberately dishonest, says James, who I believe is, under the rules of the law, causing a disturbance and is going to face an unlimited fine and 10 years in jail. That'll teach him. Sue Gray's full report. Does anybody actually think we're ever going to see that? No. Does anybody think that Sue Gray actually exists?
No.
It's not going to be released in full, despite the protestations of the regime saying that it will. Oh, it will. It will, it will, it will, it will, it will, they say. Yes, 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 yes.
No, 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 no.
No chance. It's just going to be a black square on a page. Charlotte texts, there's a bar where I work. Then again, I do work in a restaurant. It's lovely, you should come for dinner. Huh? What? There's a bar where I work. Oh, right. Because I was saying that there shouldn't be a bar where MPs work. How can you have a bar where you work? But Charlotte says, being cute, there's a bar where I work, says Charlotte. Then again, I do work in a restaurant. It's lovely, you should come for dinner. I absolutely will do nothing of the sort, Charlotte. But I appreciate you asking.
Thank you.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Have I talked about the windfall tax thing? I didn't do that, did I? I didn't talk about the royals either. I got detailed files. Well, I'll have to talk about them this evening then when I come back at 10 o'clock. And I'll also have to get through some of these texts and messages, of which there are about 10 pages. They come and they come. How do these people get my number?
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Right, so what are we doing?
Gibbon, we are doing a radio show, but it does remind me that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin, but I've told you about that one already. So let me tell you about the podcast that I do with me. Me. It's called The Nick Abbott Habit. It's clips of old shows. And the era that I'm taking the clips from at the moment, it's about 2 years ago. It's a bizarre time. Because we'd heard about the invisible menace from, the bat disease, the invisible bat disease, but it hadn't really hit us yet. And so the news sort of comes in and out, and we sort of talk about it for a bit, but not much. Oh, we didn't think that was going to be much. Little did we know. But there's all sorts of other things going on 2 years ago. It's amusing to hear how we were chatting about old things that were in the news and how things that we thought were really important didn't turn out to be, and things that we thought that weren't really important did turn out to be, very important indeed. And it comes out on Monday. It's a half an hour of concentrated amusement. I just take out the funny bits and squirt it up the internet, and it's called Nick Abbott Habit. There's hundreds of them up there. I mean, if you just want to tune out and, be amused, then it'll be right up your alley. Ask for it by name on an internet near you, The Nick Abbott Habit. It's on Global Player, naturally. If you haven't got Global Player, then you should. It's got all the stations that we do. We do Heart and Classic FM. So relaxing. And Capital, which is not relaxing at all. Keep the noise down, kids. And many other stations that I can't remember off the top of my head. X, of course. There's a boatload of them up there. And thousands, I think literally thousands of podcasts which will amuse you from now until the end of time. Which, if Vladimir Putin has his way, should be any moment. It's called Global Player, and it's available for Apple and Android.
Affirmative.
But the Nick Abbott Habit, or just do an internet search on my name, Nick Abbott Podcasts, and the three that I do will become evident as though by magic. John says they don't know how much gas and electric people will use in the next 3 months. No, wait. No, not gas and electric people. They don't know how much gas and electric people will use in the next 3 months. So how do they know how much they can put up your direct debit by? What if you don't use any and you turn everything off? They're guessing, says John. We should do that. That'll fox them. They're presenting us with a bill, and they're expecting to get that amount of money in, and they probably already spent it on comics and sweets. The energy giants. They bought cake and refreshments,
booze,
and they're going to be living it up, expecting to get that amount of money. We should just turn everything off. Who's with me? We don't need any of that electric stuff anyway. We can get by with, what did they used to do before electric? Go to bed early. Yeah, let's just go to bed early. That'll show them. John says the lady with the phantom toothache needs to get that checked out. It sounds like roots were left behind when the tooth was removed. Them hidden roots can be a pain, says John, who is probably an expert. That was a lady that wrote in. God, it seems like days ago, but that was the beginning of this super show. Rob says, Boris Johnson just reminds me of the spoilt, large bully at our school whose dad owned lots of chip shops. I always remember him slapping a large lump of chewing gum in my hair from behind. In English, he always had greasy chip fat hair, and his uniform fitted like one of Bodger Johnson's suits. Yes. Biff Tanner is who we elected to be our dear leader. That's exactly right. We elected the school bully. Ray says, solar panels, who on earth moans about them being ugly? Me! I moan about them being ugly.
Stop whining.
He says, who stands staring at their roof? Well, you can't avoid it. Hideous they are. He said, it might be different if you had to attach them to your front door. I mean, where would you put the letterbox? Says Ray. They are really, really deeply hideous. I mean, even the idea that they mitigate the cost of electricity, even that doesn't make them better looking. It doesn't improve your mood when looking at them. Whereas windmills are a beautiful thing, and even if you don't like them, marching across land near where you live, the idea that they're creating energy out of essentially nothing does mitigate the vision of them before you. I think they're gorgeous looking things, whether they're moving or not. I think windmills, or not windmills, they're turbines, are beautiful. But some people think they're an eyesore. But just think of all that free electricity they're making out of wind. But you can't say that about solar panels because there's no getting around it. They are hideous. I'm never going to get through all of these. Mujahid says, why don't we attach gyms to a dynamo that charges electricity into the national grid? That's a good idea. Or employ people to turn dynamos via an exercise bike in a factory. That would surely provide and produce cheap power. Excellent idea there, Mujahid. Would you like to be our energy czar? You can start first thing Monday morning. Well, maybe Monday afternoon. I bet the energy czar doesn't get up till Tuesday, midday, latest. Margaret texts, so a drive out into the countryside instead of sheep and cows in the field. It's those ghastly solar panels plus the seaside with those ugly windmills. No, Margaret, they're not ugly. You can barely see them by the sea, beside the sea. Out in the distance they are, practically invisible to the naked eye, except in certain atmospheric conditions. What are you on about, dear? Bo tweets, is it true that Prince Andrew has agreed to fly a helicopter over Buckingham Palace and dangle Harry and Meghan out the sides, hovering just above the balcony that they've all been banned from? Yes, Bo. Yes, it is true. Susan emails, Boris Johnson has been ambushed twice now in Downing Street, once by a cake and the second time by Susanna Reid. I didn't know anything about Susanna Reid. All I knew was the clips of Piers Morgan shouting at people that they used to put on YouTube. You remember Piers Morgan, don't you?
No.
Yeah, and he used to be on the telly with Susanna Reid. And Susanna Reid would typically never say a word. It would just be Morgan, yelling at somebody, at some government quisling. So I had no idea what she was like. I don't actually recall ever hearing what she sounded like. So it was something of a revelation to see that. I bet Bodger Johnson woke up that morning and thought, oh, this is going to be a breeze. I'll just flash on my patented come hither look for the ladies, and she'll melt before me. I'll tell her there'll be no checks on the border. That is act. And I think she extracted all of the moisture of his body. He ended up that interview as a piece of beef jerky. He just crumpled visibly before us. Excellent work, Susanna Reid. Daryl says, I've never disagreed with you before, but don't diss the port, mate. Oh, port as in...
booze.
Yeah. A lot of port fans who will be on crutches shortly. They'll be sawing your feet off. Don't do it. Rob says, the internet has a beginning, so it must have an end, or maybe not. Oh, well, maybe that's... that's the Matrix. Maybe not, says Rob, who has obviously eaten the wrong pill. Right, I will be back reading the text that I didn't get around to tonight, of which there are approximately too many. Approximately too many. Stop texting me, people. So I'll do that later. Trust me. And then I had to get to the bottom where the information about what's coming up is. There it is. Ian Payne is here from 4 o'clock. But first, right now, live and in person.
Thank you, Nick. And coming up after the news at 1 o'clock, with all the parties putting their own spin on a mixed set of results, what do you think we can learn from the local elections? I'd like your verdict, please. Also, as Russia's Victory Day parade approaches, we'll have the latest on Ukraine and look at the options Putin may be considering. And scientists say there's been a terrifying drop in the number of flying insects in Great Britain. A survey examining car number plates reveals numbers have plummeted by 60%. Why should we be worried about this, and what can be done? That and much more coming up after the news at 1 on LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. 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 Is LBC.